If you know anything about me, you know that I'm a very organized and scheduled person. It's really the only way that I get anything done. I make my bed every morning. I set myself yearly goals, and I maintain a detailed calendar which I use daily. And that's all great, but a perfectly planned life is really no life at all. During the later half of last year, I realized that I needed to integrate more spontaneity into my life in San Francisco. So every week or so, I'd get myself ready for the day, put my headphones in, go for a walk, and just wander. And that's how I discovered the Brooklyn Art Library. You may not know what that is yet, that's okay. Let me explain. This past fall, there was a craft fair in the Potrero Hill district in San Francisco, which I wandered into. Towards the end of the block, I found a booth with a collection of beautifully handcrafted journals filled with stories from people from all over. I found one special journal that I resonated with, and I wanted to keep it. But that's when I discovered what the Brooklyn Art Library really was. The Brooklyn Art Library is, well, a library filled with journals, diaries, and memoirs. It's a collection of shared human stories.
We are at the Brooklyn Art Library in Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York. We are home to the Sketchbook Project. The Sketchbook Project is really open to anyone, anywhere, regardless of your professional background as an artist. So you fill it up with whatever you want. We have a bunch of themes, it's all up to you. You send your book back to us, and then first we'll take it on a little tour in our mobile library, but then it'll eventually reside here at the Brooklyn Art Library, and it becomes part of the permanent collection.
In their words, they're building a global time capsule to articulate, in an analog way, our collective creative thoughts. Lucky for me, I was headed to New York that next month, so I could plan a visit to their landmark location during my upcoming trip. My friend DUSHKA is a writer. She writes every morning, she shares her stories all over the internet, and has even written 8 books and counting. And I've seen firsthand how her stories have meant so much to so many people all over the world. So it was in that moment that I knew DUSHKA's writing needed to make its way into the Brooklyn Art Library collection. I bought a blank journal and I brought it back with me to California. A few days later, I presented the idea to DUSHKA. She loved the idea and gave me the very first book that she wrote. How to Be Ferociously Happy and Other Essays. She recommended that I find stories from this book that resonated with me the most, and we'd fill the journal with it. So the journal would be a little bit of both of us. Then I was off to create the journal. Okay, so I just finished creating the book. I'm on my way to go meet up with DUSHKA. We're actually going to go and do some yoga first, hang out, catch up, and then we're going to head back to her place and I'm going to reveal the book to her. I'm so excited, but now I have to sort of run, get to yoga because I'm hopefully not going to be late. So yeah, let's go.
I feel like the hat competes a little bit with the kitchen, with the wood in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. We're wearing hats today.
We're wearing hats.
Because we just came from yoga.
We came from yoga and we had ice cream.
And we had ice cream and soup.
And soup.
And
not necessarily in that order.
No, not in that order.
Not in that order. So you came to me and you said there's a notebook in here and there's a project for you to do whatever you want with this notebook and it will be left at the Brooklyn Art Library.
Yes.
And then you said, I think that we should make something together. And I love that idea. But I was like, I feel like I already write so much. And there's a specific book that I think that you're gonna like a lot. So why don't you take it and read it, and then we'll see how we can take what I wrote and integrate it into something that you do.
Yes, and then that was this book.
And that was this book, exactly. And then, when I bought the book and handed it to you, I said, I think maybe you should cut it up. And
yes.
Cutting up a book is a little bit sacrilegious, especially for someone who's a writer and who's a book lover. But I was like, I feel like I wrote it, and therefore, if I created it, I should be the one to declare that it's okay for you to turn it into something different.
Yes.
And I felt like you taking the book and scrapbooking it into something different would be the equivalent of us co-creating something.
Yes, exactly. The journal is many less pages than this book right here.
Anecdotally, this is the shortest book I've ever written.
Oh, wow.
Most of my books are twice as thick.
Yeah.
This is the smallest one. And the reason it's small is because I wanted to write brief essays designed for someone to read it and change their perspective.
And then my challenge was taking all of this, and the challenge was to cut it down into even fewer.
Yeah.
And
that process of curation, of you deciding what to keep and what to throw out, was also a very big part of what you would turn it into.
Yeah.
In other words, the person who decides what to keep and what to throw out is in and of itself making a lot of decisions on which parts of the book speak to her the most.
Yes, and that's especially what I'm excited to hear or see your reaction to, which ones I chose and what you think of that.
The only thing I've seen up until this point, because I haven't seen what you did with it and I don't know, the only thing I've seen is that you posted some Instagram stories.
Yes.
And so I saw that your apartment was a mess.
Yes, I got really messy with this whole process. There's still, right now, there are magazines all over my floor, and I still have to clean up, but it turned out really great. I'm excited.
I can't wait to see it. Okay, show me.
Yes, okay. Okay.
I want to peek, but I won't, because
Don't
whoever's looking at us on the video will know that I peeked. So I'm just keeping it real here.
Okay, have the book. Keep your eyes closed. Open your hands. Okay, and open.
Oh my God, it's heavy. Oh, it looks amazing. Oh my God, it's like a little version of the book. It looks fantastic. Yeah.
How cute.
It's so cute. I want to see. I don't want to show it to them. I want to see it. It's fantastic. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is the first page, and I already have stories. But
yes.
The first page is a dedication, and it says, for my parents, all three of them. And it was because when I was very, very young, my mom remarried, and the guy that she remarried has been in my life since I was 3. So when I think of my parents, I think of 3 people.
That's amazing.
And then the quote is, every time I feel completely hopeless, like whenever something happens that I'm like, I'm done for, I read this quote, and it says, there will come a time when you believe everything is finished. That will be the beginning. And this quote by Louise L'Amour makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
So that it soothes me because I know that it's true. This one is an essay that I wrote called Quitting is for Winners, because I feel like it's so important to know when to fold them. When you're like, this is not the right pursuit.
Yes.
And I think it's very different to know when to quit than to give up on something.
Yeah.
And that's what that essay is about.
Yeah.
Tell me why you picked it.
So I had to quit college basketball in order to move out to San Francisco and go to an art school.
And basketball was really, really important to you.
Yes, and it still is to this day. But I had to quit in order to sort of move on and sort of do the next thing in my life. And so when I read this one, it really reminded me of that moment in my life.
You can't win if you don't know how to quit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, if I let go of this basketball thing that isn't even working out, if I don't let go of it, how can I start something new?
Yeah.
Same with relationships. If this relationship isn't working and I've already done everything I can, if I don't let it go, I will never find something new.
Exactly.
So I think quitting is such an important lesson. Yes. So this essay, it's called How to Be Ferociously Happy. It's so lovely. And it actually inspired the name for the book. And the reason I picked it and the reason I wrote it is because I don't think people think happiness is something that happens to you. And I actually think it's something that you fight tooth and nail for. And that's where ferociously came from. And you have to pursue it and strive for it and figure it out. And being happy is a triumph. It's not something that just that you happen to be.
Yeah.
This is such an important lesson, I think. Sometimes feel like you have to get someone to love you, and the fact is people love you or they don't, and there isn't anything you can do to get them to love you, and there isn't anything you can do to get them to stop if that's what you wanted to do. And we sometimes feel that love is a result of our effort, and that's just not how it works.
Yeah. I think we sort of were talking about this on our walk over here a little bit, but this has been a big theme for me as well. It's just when you show up and your best self and you're just being you, that's like when the right people come into your life. And
Absolutely.
that's when you flow through life in a way that's just like natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then go to bed this is a great, everyone is like, never go to bed angry, and it's so false.
Wait, can you just read this one out loud really quick? Yeah.
Don't listen to whoever said never go to bed angry. Seriously, go to bed. It will all look better in the morning. And
Yeah.
it's just so true.
Yes, I love that because that's a saying. It's like, don't go to bed angry. And I read that and I was like, DUSHKA just hit the nail on the head.
It's a terrible saying.
Yeah.
And then we believe it and we stay up all night fighting. And it's just like, go to bed. In the morning, it'll look great. And then also, if you're living with someone and you're getting in the same bed together and you're angry, but then like your foot touches his foot, like sleeping is so healing.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're like, I hate you, but I want to snuggle. And then by the morning, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Just go to bed.
Such a good lesson.
Yeah. This one is about self-confidence. I feel like a lot of people ask me how to develop self-confidence, and I think it has to do with doing the very thing that you're afraid to do. And by afraid, I don't mean like walk down a dark alley and risk your life, but I mean ask the girl out, or take the job that you think is hard, or do that project that you don't think that you can do. And it's a process through which you prove to yourself that you are capable.
Yeah.
And then you begin to trust yourself, and that's essentially what confidence is.
I think this kind of also goes back to vulnerability, something we've talked about a bit before too. It's been a big theme for me as well because a lot of this YouTube stuff and me trying to get into more like public speaking is something that I've had to really push myself to do because I don't think it really came naturally to me, but I've cared more about, getting my message out there or trying to create and make. And in order for me to flex that muscle, I had to be more confident in myself.
Absolutely. And the more you do what you're afraid of, the more you prove to yourself that you can do it, and the easier it becomes. It's when you decide that you're too scared that you start losing your confidence. And I think confidence comes and goes. It's never a constant. But I think that in order to stay moderately self-confident, you have to just keep doing what you're scared of, which is kind of paradoxical.
Yeah. I'm so excited for this book to be part of the Brooklyn Art Library collection. If you are ever in New York, you should head to the Brooklyn Art Library for yourself and search for this journal. And I know not everyone can visit New York, and some of you still may want to be able to check it out. So we've also decided to digitize the book. So I will leave instructions on how to access it in the description below. Don't forget to give yourself some time to just go out into the world, walk around, and embrace uncertainty. I know it's something that I'm actively trying to get better at. If you enjoyed this story and my video, I would love for you to be a subscriber. I make videos about product design, careers in tech, and life. So with that, I hope to see you next time. Bye.
So there it is, our joint project. Yay. That you built. You built a mini version of my book, and it's fantastic.
It's so cute.
And I love hearing what spoke to you. That's fun. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And one day we will go to Brooklyn together.
Yes.
Yes, and we'll visit it.
Yes, I love it.